What's up, Shelton family? It's Paul,
Lily.
and we want to come to you and have a serious conversation about disciplining kids. And how do we discipline our kids? So we've been married for 13 years now, and one of the things that we had in common, and one of the things that we talked about before getting married, is how we were going to discipline kids and what our approach was. And I just laid down the law. I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna beat them. No, that's not it. But we had an agreement, and that's, I guess, is the most important thing. Is we had an agreement, an understanding of what we wanted to do. Now, I know some y'all may be like, why are you talking about disciplining your kids? Why is this conversation even a topic? Why is it important? There's so much that's going on right now in our world, so much going on in the neighborhoods around us, in the communities around us, where we see a lack of discipline in the homes. And we feel that lack of discipline is causing a lot of troubles.
Yeah. So, going back to what he said earlier, it's not something that I guess we agreed on. We were just on the same page because I grew up with discipline, and it goes more than, or I feel like it goes further. It also builds character.
Correct.
It builds that level of respect, one, for authority, because as parents, we are the first authoritative figure in our kids' lives. So when they go to school, it's their teacher. When they're at work, it's their boss. When they're out on the streets, it's the police. So if we discipline them at home, it provides that structure, that respect, the basic respect that we personally have seen an extreme lack of. And part of it, I feel, is this generation, or this generation is being raised by kids.
Correct.
Or they're being raised by grandparents who just don't have that energy.
Have the energy all the time.
So it's very important. It's extremely important, and I'm so glad that even from the very beginning in our dating years that we actually talked about that, because that was important for me.
Yeah, and so where we are right now, all you know, we have baby number 4. It's on the way, coming here in the next 9 months.
It's a boy.
In the next 9 weeks or so. And I'm glad she clarified that, and I'm glad she stated what she said about discipline. I know from a male's point of view, we always think of discipline as, not sparing the rod and giving them the hammer whenever they do something wrong. But there's more to discipline than just spanking, and that's not always what's needed, and that's not always what's used. Discipline is about building character. Is essentially what she said. Mm-hmm. Building that character within the kids. And one thing that I understood a few years ago is that God gave us kids, but I'm raising adults. I'm not raising them to be kids.
Exactly. They're already kids. So we're raising men and women. So we don't need to, like PJ said, we're not raising boys and girls.
So we can't always be their friend. We can't always be their homie. We can't always be this and that. Sometimes you do have to have discipline. And discipline is something that is just structure. That's how we view discipline in our household. The structure is sitting down at the dinner table every evening, sitting down at the breakfast table, and that's where you eat. The kids learn so much discipline just out of having a structured life. Not a rigid life, not a military life where they don't have any freedom to do different things. But when it comes time for dinner, we sit at the table, do our best to turn the TV off for the most part, it usually is, and we try to communicate with each other, have good quality family time at the dinner table to really connect with our kids and understand what's on their mind. There's so much going on right now. It's hard to shield them from TV. It's hard to shield them.
They all have tablets, and the technology has just taken over.
So you can't shield them from everything. You have to really address a lot of stuff that's going on with social injustice, a lot of stuff that's going on with the economy. I talk to my kids a lot about the economy, what a recession is, finances, social injustice, what racism is, how racism feels, what it looks like, prejudices. We have conversations about our kids, and it helps define their character, and we feel like um, it helps drive discipline in our home. There are times, where, they get out of line, they're kids, and just like every yard, if you never cut the grass or if you never trim the hedges, it's just going to grow out of control. And the same is true essentially with kids. If you never give them discipline or the boundaries, they're just going to grow out of control. Yeah. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of it in the school system, and we see a lot of it in the just everywhere, just all around. So, one of the big reasons I wanted to do this video, when I told Leon about this topic, what I had on my heart was just reaching out to all of our youth around the world, and not just the youth, but she said it perfectly earlier. It's a lot of parents out there, moms and dads, that are raising their kids, and they haven't fully understood how to receive and disseminate discipline themselves, because they may have a younger, immature mindset. As you see a toy coming up here.
Not just that, but I feel like our society now, it's almost frowned upon, like when you discipline your kids. What I feel as though it truly does show them that you love them. Like, for example, growing up, our parents definitely didn't spare the rod. And one thing that I appreciate and learned from them was the mere fact that they explained to us, especially my dad, like he would explain, honey, you know why you gotta spank it. And it taught us, okay, well, he's not mad, and then now we're just getting a spanking for no reason. No, there's a process. And as long as you explain that to your kids and they understand, this really does hurt me. And I remember when my parents would say, oh honey, this hurts me more than it's gonna hurt you. And I'm thinking in my head all kind of unsanctified words that I will not say, because I am a good girl. But honestly, like, I never understood that. But now having my own kids, and Brian here, he's my youngest one, and Lord knows this boy pushes every limit he can push.
Extremely trifling sometimes. That's what it is.
So my point is, it's not a matter of you just whacking them upside the head. No, you explain to them, honey or babe, this is what you did, and you can't do that. Certain things you just have to, there's no exceptions to the rule.
Correct. And I believe that most importantly, the biggest thing is having that discipline, having that structure, because then they learn respect. They learn to respect not only you as mom and dad, but they learn to respect community. They learn to respect neighbors, and internally they learn to respect and love themselves, because when they have discipline and when you teach them structure, it allows them to be a young adult. It allows them to be a teenager that is enabled to make decisions that you as a mom, as a dad, as a parent would be proud of. I know that was the case with me. My parents, my family structure is very similar to Leona's. I received discipline in my household. You can ask my parents and my sisters, and they probably say, no, you didn't.
I honestly believe he didn't. I think he needed more. But
I was a good kid. I never really did much to get in trouble. I had kids. I had friends that were doing stuff that kids do in middle school and high school and different things. You sneak into a movie. You go to 7 different movies and you didn't pay for none of them. I didn't do none of that because I was afraid to get in trouble. So my parents realized that I didn't do that, and they structured my discipline around that. Mm-hmm. They understood where I was sufficient in different areas and where I was inefficient in other areas. So I think that's a very good thing. Having that communication with your kids, having that communication, most importantly.
And it's real communication. Like, even with my 9-year, I don't sugarcoat anything. Like, I give it to this, and he's a boy. So I give it to him just raw. Like, this is the deal. This is what's acceptable. This is what's unacceptable. And it builds that sense of trust in them and then trust in us. So when they do go over to their friend's house, they know our standards and they know, well, it's going to get back to my mom and dad. No, I can't do this.
Yeah. So leave your comments below. Let us know how you feel about discipline in your home. For all those parents that are out there, what do you define as discipline? What do you find as structure? How do you establish structure in your home?
Yeah.
And just leave your comments below. I'm very curious to hear what your comments are, what your beliefs are, what your thoughts are. Also, please let us know some of the things that you're doing, not just with spanking or just, but what are the things that you're doing in your home to drive discipline and to drive that internal love that child will have for themselves? Because ultimately, that's what you want. You want them to have that trust, that internal love for themselves, that they'll be able to do things and understand, like when I tell you stay over there, not to come get in the video.
See, discipline.
All day long. Yeah. But, leave your comments below. Subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell so that you get an update each time we upload a new video. And join this conversation. Join this journey with us.
And I also think, before he gives a peace out real quick, also, how do you discipline all of your kids the same? Like if you have more than one child, do you discipline them the same? Because I personally have learned, I even shared this with my husband not too long ago, that again, with the youngest one, it's just different. Like the way we can discipline Trey, and our daughter is somewhere else, but it's almost like we have to discipline them in a different way. Like what I do, how I discipline Trey, I can't discipline Brian that way. How I discipline Brian, I can't discipline Leilani.
They're all individual.
Yeah, so if you guys have more than one child, like how do you discipline? Do you discipline them the same, or do you kind of see like how they take towards discipline, I guess?
Cool.
Yeah, leave some comments. This is very interesting because I feel like we shy away from disciplining our kids, and it's almost like an unspoken, like big no-no. But truly, in this day and age, and with everything that's happening out there, like I can ramble. But one thing that I make sure I tell my kids, especially my oldest one, if I don't discipline you here, mommy loves you. The people out there could care less about you. You don't want them giving you the type of discipline. So that's why I feel wholeheartedly that it's our God-given responsibility to show them the path that they should go, and also to see that growth in them. Because what I discipline you for at 5 years old, when you're 7, 8, and 9, we should not be having this conversation. It should be something else that I have to tweak in your life. So yeah, leave us some comments. Very interesting.
Peace out, everybody.
All right, deuces.
Deuces. Give it to him, Brian.
Say deuces.
Say deuces.
See, he's just a different one.